Hey everyone, and welcome to this Wampa's Lair discussion video. I'm Carl, and this is
Also, Carl.
Yay.
Hi, Jason.
Hi. Yes, I stole his name
Excellent.
intentionally. Yes,
Excellent.
excellent. Um, so yes, this is our first ever joint discussion video for our YouTube slash Facebook page slash awesomeness. Um,
Yes. We're trying all new things here at the Wampa's Lair. It's all new.
it's all new, and now from the Wampa's Lair, brand new, coming to you. Okay, I'm gonna
Yeah.
stop that.
I was going to actually try hanging upside down to record this, but I was like, I'd probably pass out 3 minutes in. So, not a good
Yeah.
idea.
And then all of a sudden the ceiling would give way and all of a sudden, we would just see a crash and I would laugh and then
And then
it
people
would
were,
make it on the internet.
yes. No. Yeah. So, yeah, those of you watching, we decided we wanted to do some more fun stuff with the Wampa's Lair because we're going to keep obviously doing the podcast. That's the main force of everything we're doing. But
Yes.
this is pretty much how Jason and I have been recording anyway. The last few times was just he and I. Keeps us more engaged. I feel like I'm having a real conversation. There he is,
Yes.
right there, right
Yes,
there.
he's
I
right
can touch
right
him.
there in front of
Not
me.
there. He is. I'm touching him.
There.
There's
There, right.
oh,
He's right there.
right there.
Oh.
Oh. But
Okay.
we I called Jason. Jason and I chatted on the phone this afternoon. We're like, you know what? We should do some more stuff with the Wampa's Lair. So we decided we'll start doing these discussion videos. Since we also have a YouTube channel now that Jason set up, figure why not do some discussion videos as well? Because that would be fun, and especially in light of all the news we've been getting about episode 7 coming out. So we figure, on a weekly, maybe even bi-weekly basis, just following kind of the flux of the news, Jason and I'll hop on here during the week, even if it's, these will be pretty short, 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes. Pop those onto YouTube and, let you guys discuss with us. And we thought it'd be fun if you could see us too. Here we are, right here,
Yes.
right there,
Right here in the
right there, in the
flesh.
flesh.
Sort of.
Sort
The
of.
flesh on your
Digital
computer.
flesh. Yes.
Digital
Pixelated
flesh. I like it.
flesh. Um, But yeah,
Yes.
so we thought this would be fun, and we're also going to be introducing a new concept to the podcast show too. So be sure to listen into our next podcast. Now, if those of you who are watching this right now, which is today is Saturday, November 10th, if you're watching this right now, there's a problem with iTunes. Evidently, it's not updating people's podcast feeds. We're not the only one affected right now. Evidently, a lot of people are. So hopefully
Yes.
that'll iTunes will get itself fixed up here pretty quick, so that our last episode with Joe Hogan, the Clone Wars Revisited episode, will be up on iTunes. But again, you can always download them at StarWarsReport.com. So
Although apparently some people's subscriptions it goes through because I subscribe to
right,
our feed and I got it.
yes, yeah, because I called Jason and I was like, our thing's not working. He's like, I'm listening to it, and I was like,
Yes, I was
come
like,
again? Excuse me. So,
what?
but yeah. Anyway, so we thought there was two kind of exciting pieces of news that came out this week that we thought would be fun to talk about. So one is obviously we have the Harrison Ford conundrum. Ooh, Harrison Ford, are you gonna do it? Are you gonna?
Good.
And then
Yes.
of course we have a screenwriter. So Jason, let's talk about this first aspect though. Harrison Ford coming back, but he has the stipulation. When I first saw the article, I was like, yes, yes, give me some Han Solo because I love Han Solo. And
No, I'm shocked.
you are.
Completely. No, not at all, actually.
But I mean, I was so excited that we were gonna get Han Solo back because he's the bomb, and having Harrison Ford back would be sweet. And Indy 4 coming out. I mean, I know a lot of people didn't really like Indiana Jones 4.
I loved it.
I did
Hello,
too. I
personally.
loved it. It was I like it more than Temple of Doom. But anywho, I
And Temple of
actually
Doom isn't bad.
no,
So
yeah, it's
just,
not. It's yeah, I love Temple of Doom, but I
I,
actually really liked Indy 4. I thought it was fantastic.
yes, yes,
But
indeed.
and part of what made it fantastic was seeing old Harrison Ford. He did the majority of those stunts. Like he's in great shape.
Yes.
So and there's not going to be like that. He wouldn't have to do nearly as physical stuff for the Han Solo character, I wouldn't think. So having him back is really exciting. But of course, we have this stipulation. He wants a death scene. So
Okay. And first of all, folks, this is still, I mean, this story here is still technically rumor,
right.
although it's probably a pretty reliable rumor. So we just want to put that out there first. This is still technically a rumor. But yes, he is interested in coming back on the condition that he gets a death scene, which means the death of Han Solo. So, your thoughts when you saw that, Carl?
Well, like I said, kind of like the initial thoughts were exciting because I really want to see, Harrison Ford back. I want to see Han Solo, but I don't want him to die. But at the same time, I think that would be a really good aspect to the storytelling, because it'll give it so much depth, because I think Harrison Ford had a really good point. He's made it very clear that he wanted Han Solo's character to die in between Empire and Jedi. Like, we're not going to be able to save him. He's going to die. And Harrison Ford felt like, the character did what he needed to do. He's got this emotional depth to him now. We lose him. He becomes, kind of a hero who sacrificed himself. And I think that's a great point. But I am really glad they didn't kill him off. That Return of the Jedi celebration wouldn't have been the same without Han Solo there, sitting in that chair in the center of the room. I love that scene when it ends and like everybody's like huddled around Han Solo.
It's like the picture frame.
Yeah, it's like it's meant to be like a picture that they're still filming.
Yes, exactly, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
But George kind of gets his way when he says, "No, we're not going to kill Han Solo," and Harrison's like, "Yes, we need to kill Han Solo," and George's like, Harrison, no.
Oh no. So yeah, I mean, I think again, I don't want him to die, but I think killing him would do a lot for the story because again, I think the purpose of the new trilogy is to give us new characters in some sense. So you don't need to keep the big three through all of the films. Now, I don't know. What do you think? Do you think they'd kill him right away? You think he'd die definitely in episode 7? You think they'd keep him around till 8 or 9? What do you think?
I think that well, first of all, when I saw his condition, his stipulation here, I was like, it made perfect sense to me because he's, we all know he's talked about how Han should have died in Return of the Jedi, and so it made perfect sense to me that he would want that. It made perfect sense story-wise that it would have to. Did I necessarily like that? Not necessarily, but I'm not as attached to Han as a lot of people are. Mm-hmm. Not that I don't like him, he's not. I don't have that connection there as that a lot of people do. Yes, with the Falcon, the hamburger, the flying hamburger in space. Because that's what it was based off of, is George Lucas's favorite food, a hamburger. Anyways, but no, as far as Harrison is concerned, that didn't surprise me in the slightest, and so it made perfect sense that he would want that, and I think that they would have to do that in Episode 7. It would have to be something where, obviously, with the trilogy, we're likely going to get a single villain or organization as the villain for the trilogy. And in order to, solidify that this is a threat, because I think it would be a mistake if they brought the Sith back into it. I mean, maybe some lightsaber wielding munchkins or something, but
Ewoks.
Yeah, but not Sith in the proper sense. Coming back, I don't think that would necessarily be right. But in order to solidify them as a credible threat to the galaxy and a credible threat to us as an audience, they would have to kill someone off, and Han is a logical choice. Yeah. Because he doesn't have the Force, and he's someone that at this point would be willing to go and sacrifice himself for Leia and Luke, and Chewie probably wouldn't like it. Wouldn't like the fact that Han does that, but Han would do it anyways.
Maybe Chewie dies with him.
That would be fitting.
Yeah,
that would be fitting.
Yeah,
it would be sad,
right,
but very fitting.
Yeah, and I think essentially, as far as the story goes, it's kind of a good aspect because it does give us a certain level of depth. Like I remember when they approved the death of Chewbacca for Vector Prime. The first book in the NJO, when they approved that, I mean, EU fans were really excited because it's like, now we really get this danger zone. Like our characters are vulnerable. Our characters can be hurt and killed. And I think killing off Han Solo, which, I would hate that because I love Han Solo, but it would make sense. Like you said, he's not vital to the story anymore. He's done his role. it just better not be lame. And I don't think it would be. I mean,
No,
I think
it better
Harrison
not.
Ford and Samuel L. Jackson, neither of them would go out like punks. um, except Mace Windu is a punk. But anywho, um,
That-
man, we should record an episode sometime where I just hate on Mace Windu. No, I'm just kidding. But he's such a punk. He's so mean to Anakin. But
Han Solo, focus.
Han Solo, right? Han Solo. You know, but as soon as that news came out, actually, it was funny because, I mean, you know, if you've listened to our, you know, favorite characters episode, Han Solo was my favorite character, still is my favorite character. When I heard, you know, Harrison Ford might come back, I was really excited. And I actually stopped reading the X-Wing series, and now I've restarted reading the Han Solo trilogy by A.C. Crispin. Oh, and it's actually a really good series. I'm almost done with Paradise Snare, the first book right now, and it does a really good job developing his character. But anywho, back to the current news. I mean, it's really cool that he would come back, and if he has to die in order to come back, that's fine because, like you said, you know, it would give Star Wars such an emotional depth that we don't have otherwise. So
Right.
I think it would be really good, and I think it would also answer some of the anxieties of some fans. Was like, oh, now Lucasfilm is owned by Disney. It's going to be a kids movie. Well,
Right.
first off,
Yes.
no. Yeah.
Yeah.
First off,
We're
no.
gonna get talking banthas.
Yeah, exactly. And sing-songing
Talking,
Jawas.
singing banthas.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah. It's like, no, not at all. Like, it's still a standalone company. And I think this would further reiterate that fact. It's like, no, we can take you to an emotional depth. And I think that would be really cool. But I'm curious, what do you think about this? Do you think once it's, you know, well, God willing, you know, if it is 100% confirmed, you know, Harrison Ford is coming back, do you think we as fans can then therefore assume he dies? Do you think so, since that is his condition?
Um. Obviously, we can't say for sure until it actually happens, but
Right.
I would say with reasonable doubt, with you know, that would be the case. I mean
Hmm.
that he would die, um, and
Yeah.
not only because that's what Harrison wanted, but that's because where I felt the story would have to go anyways, is that someone would have to die. One of the big three would have to die, either in episode 7 or episode 8, because that's the dark, the middle of the trilogy is always the dark point, and so um, I think we might see the end of all three of the big three spread
Mm.
throughout the trilogy, personally.
Mhm.
So that's something that would not shock me in the least. If we lost one per film, one of the big three per film. Han in
Yeah.
the first one, maybe Leia in the second one, and Luke outlasts everyone to sacrifice himself at the very end and become one with the Force. You know,
Yeah.
um, of the third one. So um, that's all my speculation. So I wasn't overly surprised when this whole speculation of him dying came up because I sort of felt like that was going to happen anyways. So I think at some point during the trilogy, Han is going to die. Whether it's in episode 7 or episode 8, I'm not sure. But I
Yeah.
think he'll die in at least one of the first two films. Lucas may tell Harrison, "Don't worry, you'll get your death scene. I just want you to get into, the second one of the trilogy." So or something. So,
Mhm.
um, but I do think at some point Han will have to die.
I hope
As
he.
sad as that
Wouldn't it
may
be
be.
sweet to have him frozen in carbonite again? Just kidding. People would be so annoyed. Are you kidding me?
Again,
Again?
except this time he doesn't survive
Right.
the carbonite,
Yeah.
which would
And this time they're all relaxed. They're like, "Oh yeah, I'll be fine. I'll be fine." He dies.
he
Oh,
died.
this does not to get into too much speculation. I promise I'll stop with this question. But this had me wondering. What do you think? Do you think Lando's going to be in the new trilogy? I mean, we haven't
I
heard anything about Billy D, but Billy D is
That's
still
true.
very active in the fan community, so I don't see like
Yeah.
he would be opposed to it. But we haven't heard
I
any
don't think
mention
so.
of him.
I don't think he would be opposed to it either. I think if he shows up, it'll be a minor role, obviously. I mean, because
Hmm.
he's um. So he may not show up in the first one. He may show up, later on. He may be, a closer character, like, the OT, where he came in, the second half of the second movie. So,
Hmm. Yeah.
um, but I don't know if it's necessarily he may be someone where Han will sacrifice and then they'll pull Lando back in to sort of fill the role that Han was playing or
Hmm.
something. That's just my speculation I'm coming up with off the top of my head. Um, but if they decide they want to work him in, Billy D will be all over that in a heartbeat, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
So, and of course, we all know Anthony Daniels is already in the suit.
He's just waiting outside like Lucasfilm, sitting there in his suit, like, oh, I'm so ready.
Yes, that was actually pretty good.
I've been around you a lot.
That's true. But this is something that hit me earlier this afternoon. This sort of a speculation idea. Back to Han's death scene. If we got Han and or Chewie dying together, would it be fitting for them to go out in a blaze of glory and take the Millennium Falcon with them?
Oh, good question. Oof, yeah, I think that would
Because you
be
can't.
that.
I
Yeah,
don't think you can have the Millennium Falcon without Han Solo.
right. No. Oh, I
It would
would.
be really
Yeah.
awkward. It would be really awkward.
I was going to actually ask you that too. Do you think the Millennium Falcon will be back? So one of my students asked me the other day. I have one student who is like a really big Star Wars fan. I mean, she's still a noob compared to me, but that's okay. Um,
He's
but
catching up.
yeah, there's no catching up to us, Jason. But because we always ride in single file to hide our numbers.
Exactly. Yes.
But so anywho, but she was asking me, she's like, "Oh, Mr. Leclerc, do you think they'd bring the Millennium Falcon back?" I'm like, "Oh God, I hope so." And I mean, even again, like, yes, they're not necessarily used in the EU for this, but even, I mean, all throughout the EU, I mean, even up through the Fate of the Jedi series, which is now like 60 years after A New Hope, Han's still flying the Falcon.
Yeah.
I would love to see the Falcon back, and I think that would actually be a really cool way for them to go out, because I don't want to see Han Solo like get shot. I like that would kill me.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, I guess that would still be cool, but I think like holding off like a squadron of fighters so the people can get away, like doing something like that, and watching the Falcon go down, and the captain going down with the ship.
Yeah.
That would be a really cool way of doing it, because if you're going to bring the Falcon back and keep it around without Han Solo, it wouldn't be the same at all.
No.
I mean, like using Lando in it in Return of the Jedi was I mean, even that was like, oh come on, it's supposed to be Han's ship.
But it was all intercut with Han
Exactly.
anyways.
Right,
So
exactly. So Han's still there. I mean, he's still living like vicariously through that machine. But yeah, you can't keep the Falcon without Han. So,
yeah.
but
As much as Lando would like to.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. You lost her to me fair and square. So,
Yes.
but yeah, so there,
right.
there's your Harrison Ford stuff. So again, I mean,
Your
again,
Harrison Ford speculation, folks.
yeah, and obviously this is all speculation. I mean, we've got nothing right now. We've just got the rumor that he's willing to do it. But I mean, it's just funny now that we have this attachment to it of, if I do it, I want to die. So it's almost like an immediate
Right.
spoiler once Harrison Ford signs on. Okay, he dies.
Right.
But
Right.
yeah, I mean,
like I said, like we said earlier, George may say, "Yeah, we'll try and work that in there," and then somewhere down the line, George goes, "Oh, we decided to change the story, Harrison." So,
yeah,
because obviously Harrison wanted to have Han killed off in Return of the Jedi, and George was like, "No." So, obviously, if he comes back, I'm not going to say for sure Han's going to die until I see it, but I'm going to say there's a high probability,
yeah,
a very, very high probability.
yeah. Yeah, and I still think seeing that on the big screen is still going to be a shocker, whether you know it or not. I mean,
Right.
spoiler or not, but yeah.
Right.
Oh, real quick, one last quick question before we hop into the brief stuff about the new screenwriter. I know my answer, but I don't know this about you. Are you a
Okay.
spoiler or not? Do you read spoilers or no?
I'm sort of like half spoilers. I'll go after ones that, people will, I'll wait a little bit, once the spoilers go through the chain of,
Hmm.
fans and stuff. And if it looks like something that isn't incredibly spoilerific, I'll go after it. Um, but at this point, I've got I follow so many people on Facebook and, who want their Twitter feed. We follow so many other people that I think it's going to be really, really difficult to stay spoiler free,
Yeah,
even remotely. So I'll probably end up getting spoiled, unintentionally.
yeah.
Uh,
At least you're not an egg. You'd stink. Sorry, lame joke. You know what I'm saying? Oh, that's for
How
Steve.
much did you have to drink at that party, Carl? No, just
Oh,
kidding.
just a Kool-Aid.
Just a Kool-Aid. Yes. Mm.
Um,
All right.
but yeah.
Are you a spoiler
Oh,
person?
hell yes. It's awful. My roommate's always giving me crap. He's like, "Why do you spoil everything for me?" But yeah,
I
I can't
guess
help it.
to some extent I am sort of a spoiler guy, but I'm able to sort of suspend that knowledge when I step into the movie theater.
Oh yeah, I'm the same way.
That's
Like I could go in there. I remember Attack of the Clones. 2 weeks before I saw Attack of the Clones, I read the entire script. I sat down at night, took 3 hours, and read the entire script. I knew everything that was going to happen. I mean, but then I went in and I was still blown away. So, I mean, again, it's one thing on paper, it's another thing on the big screen.
right.
So,
Right.
um, and and like you were saying, Jason, I mean, even if I wanted to be, which I don't, but even if I wanted to be, especially in this new digital age, it'd be really hard to stay that way. Because I can
Mhm.
remember, I don't know if you remember this, but you know, I pretty much the Force.net was pretty much all I had when the prequels were coming out for gathering news, and there was always that option of you had to highlight the hidden ink if you wanted to read
Yes.
it. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And
I remember that.
I always I loved it because the bigger space there was, I was like, yes, this is going to be something juicy. But yeah,
Spoiler warning,
yeah,
highlight
yeah,
to read.
yep,
It's
exactly.
like I was
So
like,
see, and like this is
I remember several times going, yeah, no, yeah, no, yeah, no, yeah, yes,
and this is what I mean.
I always have this internal struggle as to be spoiled or not to be spoiled. That is the question. Whether it is nobler. No, wait, sorry, that's Hamlet. No,
Oh
just kidding.
boy.
But then I end up doing it myself, anyways.
Yeah, yeah, and again, like this is the exciting thing about having a new Star Wars trilogy. I mean, we just get all this build up again. This is huge. So
It doesn't make sense to me that a new Star Wars trilogy actually means something. That there's
yeah,
actually meaning placed to that word now. Those words.
exactly,
It's like, wait,
exactly.
new Star Wars trilogy, Episode 7, Return of Han Solo. Wait, what? That actually means words?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, anywho, so the last little piece of news, which I'm sure everybody by the time they've seen this is aware, we have a screenwriter for Episode 7, Michael Arndt, I think is how you would pronounce it. I mean, I don't
A-R-T, aren't.
Arndt, Arndt,
Yes.
Arndt, Arndt.
Arndt,
But I mean, his filmography is, pretty impressive. I mean, he won an Academy Award for Little Miss Sunshine, which I've still never seen. I've heard it's phenomenal. And then obviously Toy Story 3, he was nominated for an Academy Award. And I've still never seen Toy Story 3, but I hear it's amazing. And it's funny because two of the theology
so good.
teachers I work with use it for senior theology, for teaching moral theology, I guess. I don't know how and why because I've never seen it, but like the kids love the film. They respond well to it in the class.
It is so
So,
good. If you like the first and second one, you will love the third.
yeah.
It is definitely bucks the trend of sequels are never as good as the original.
Mhm.
This one may be better than the
Wow.
original,
Yeah, I got
but
to
the
see
original
that.
is just so nostalgic. So
Yeah. And he also just, he's also working on the screenplay for Catching Fire, the Hunger Games movie. So, but yeah, I mean, Little Miss Sunshine, from what I know of it, I mean, it's kind of one of those deeper artsy type films. Um, I mean, it's those are some pretty impressive credentials, like especially putting those two side by side, Little Miss Sunshine and Toy Story 3. I mean, this guy can, do a good Disney movie with a lot of depth to it, but still make it fun, and then do this movie with extreme depth. I mean, I think having a guy like this writing this screenplay is going to be hugely important.
yeah,
I mean, again, I always think back to the OT. The best film, by and large, in most opinion, is Empire Strikes Back, which was, most specifically, the screenplay was written by Lawrence Kasdan and different directors. So I think this is again opening that potential of how amazing Star Wars films can be. And again, like obviously, you and I are both PT fans, but
right.
there are a lot of Star Wars fans who are against the PT. I think them. I know,
Shame, shame.
but this
No, you will die. Sorry.
um yeah, I don't know. Again, I don't know enough about. I haven't seen enough. Well, I haven't seen any of his movies to really have an experiential opinion. I'll have to watch one of those soon, or at least Toy Story 3, because I've heard such great things. But and just reading those credentials and knowing what I know about how people have responded to those films, I'm excited. So I don't know. What do you think?
I'm really excited. Toy Story 3 is one movie that I nearly cried at the theater over.
Hmm.
It was that good. And I don't normally cry in movie theaters, but I was starting to tear up. And there were a few, I went with a big group of friends, who'd grown up watching, the first one and the second one. And it was like, oh, the third one's coming out. So it's all these like college students going out to see the midnight showing of Toy Story 3. Um, and so, but we had a blast. It was so much fun. It had a lot of heart, a lot of, um, it was one of and I'm not going to spoil it for you. But the climactic scene is just so dramatic that you think that these toys, these characters are just gonna, not gonna make it. And then at the last second, it's, they're saved and they're able to, but the emotion conveyed in that between the characters without saying a word is just
Hmm.
phenomenal. Um, and I mean, part of that, of course, is due to the animation team. But the writing for that, to have that in place for the animation team to just exploit to its fullest is amazing.
Yeah.
Um, but no, the film itself it's got humor, it's got a good story, it's got its heart-wrenching moments, and then the final sequence at the very end is just so heart-wrenchingly uh, touching
Hmm.
that that's where I nearly teared up. Um, it was a very good movie. You will enjoy it, and so to have and I haven't seen Little Miss Sunshine, and obviously haven't seen the second Hunger Games movie because it hasn't come out yet. Um, but but just from Toy Story 3 alone, I think Star Wars is in good hands. So obviously, he's not working with an already established children's film, series here. He's working with a family film. And
Yeah.
so I think a talented writer, such as it looks like he is, will be able to take Star Wars and step up to that challenge
Yeah.
and perform well. So,
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, again, too, and Lucas is doing quite a bit, um, with in collaboration with him anyway. I mean, it seems like he and Kathy Kennedy both are sitting in on these talks, and he's writing it and then presenting it to George Lucas, which I really like. I like that his hands
yes.
are still going to be involved. So
Oh, yes.
because
Yes, thank
it's
goodness.
his vision. So
It is his vision. And
so
I think this at this point, this is the best place for Lucas to be. He's the story man. He's the
yes,
one that says this is a story, this is how it needs to be told, this is where it needs to end up. Go make that happen.
yeah, and I think
Um,
he's gotten to that point now too. Which I mean, this just even speaking about him as a person. I mean, 4 years ago, even 4 or 5 years ago, it was like, nope, we're done. I have control of these films. These are my films. This is my story, and it's over. Whereas now he's like, well, I want it to continue. However, I want to retire, so I'm going to pass it on. And I think I'm so glad he did that because I love
yes.
because it gives birth to his creation, but it also gives it the freedom to do some other stuff with it. And I'm really happy that he's done that because it's like, you know, I've got a great story, and like you said, here's what I want it to be. You go ahead and make it happen. And I think other people, again, I like the PT, but I'm definitely an OT guy, and I think the PT might have actually been even better than it was had somebody else directed or had somebody else at least collaborated more. I mean, he was
Yeah.
the only one really involved with everything, and
Yeah.
that's a lot of
I
weight to
agree.
take on too.
Yeah.
So
I agree, especially with the writing. I mean,
yeah,
the story is great, but
yeah,
the writing dialogue, I think definitely had someone come in and at least to co-write with, if not turn the script over to,
right,
um, would have been very, very beneficial for the prequels. And of
absolutely.
course, this is coming from someone who loves the prequels as much as the original trilogy. So,
Mhm.
and sometimes more.
Chalagatron.
Shh. Don't tell the internet that I like it that much. So, uh, Yoda you seek. And Yoda is in more of the prequel movies than he is in the OT movies. There,
That's
I said
right.
it.
Yeah. True.
I'm
True.
wearing a Yoda shirt. See this?
Nice. I thought that's what that was.
Yes.
I'm wearing a flannel. I'm wearing a George Lucas shirt.
George Lucas flannel, flannel. All
Yeah.
right. Well, I
Okay.
think we've gone on for quite a while with this, so we're gonna wrap this up, folks. Tybo,
That was me wrapping it up
yes, with a bow,
with bow
yes.
in the
So,
shape of a
folks,
Millennium Falcon.
yes. Okay. All right, folks. So, we should be recording in about a week from today, a little less than a week from today. We won't be recording on our normal Tuesday because I have a research paper I have to get done for Wednesday. Uh,
The things I don't miss about college.
yeah, things I wish I didn't have to do in college.
Yeah.
Anyways, but yes, so so make sure you catch us on our Facebook page, our Twitter feed, and now our YouTube page. Or email us. Yes, you can catch all of us everywhere. All of us everywhere. That didn't quite sound right. But anyways, um,
I like it.
but until either our next discussion video or the next episode of the Wampa's Lair podcast, we will see you next time somewhere in this lair of the Wampa.